the youngest ones in curls. The Brady Bunch, the Brady Bunch, that's the way they became the Brady Bunch.
Hello, my friends, welcome back to Pod Plays. We did a podcast, I think it was about a year ago, maybe a little over, maybe a little under. I wanted to have a look at a figure from a line that I know absolutely nothing about, but I saw this figure and I had to get it for reasons that I will explain in a moment. In short, I promise. This is the Asmus Toys KHLOE from the Bitten line. This is a child zombie. The reason why I've been so excited to get this figure for a year is because when I first saw shots of this figure, I was just like going through BBTS and this showed up. I had an interesting reaction. I didn't look at it like, go, whoa, that's so cool, or hey, that's different than normal. I was more like, wow, I actually feel a little sad right now. It's a toy that gave me an actual emotional reaction. The reason why I really wanted this zombie child is because how many lines can you count that have done that before, let alone on the 1/6 scale? I think the only one I can think of is like McFarlane's Walking Dead stuff from way in Years of Yonder before I even knew the line existed. The fact that any line, let alone a line no one knows about being Asmus Toys, would make a zombie child just blows me away. And also, when you're doing a zombie collection, you have to have a zombie kid. I mean, what? You had zombie children in Night of the Living Dead, Walking Dead. Also, on my Pod Plays channel, we did a lot of No More Room in Hell. Kids are a very big part of that game. In fact, I hate those little bastards. And also, we've been reviewing zombies throughout this entire year, and I got a whole shelf full of them. That entire shelf, except for one entry, would not be there if I didn't have this kid on pre-order. That's how ready I am to add her to the shelf. That being said, little caveat, I have watched reviews for this already, so I already know what's going on. The reason why I did that is I was getting way too excited. I knew she was finally rolling out to some people. And why this figure takes so long to arrive? Well, I'm not going to get into details, but it was like an economic factor, which makes me want to throw up whenever I talk about it. But it starts with the letter T. But anyways, it's here. I'm thrilled. Open this from BBTS today. I actually just went on a cemetery tour, so I'm kind of in a right mood to do this. But anyways, here is the box. We're just going to review this as if I know nothing about it. If you're thinking it's a little dark, it is. It's got like this singed, like, manila envelope presentation. They got KHLOE down there emblazoned in that scratchy wording. It gets really small. I could bring it in here so you can see all the text. In terms of presentation, I like it, but it definitely doesn't catch your eye. We have KHLOE, the twin, because our two, we'll talk about that shortly. Asmus Toys Bitten Series 1/6 scale collectible action figure. This line is very obscure and very unknown. They do zombies, and they also do some Lord of the Rings stuff, some Evil Dead stuff, like they did Nash at one point, maybe two of them. So this is a very small line that just nobody really knows about. Off to the side, we have KHLOE and Caddy, who is her twin sister. So what this line does in their Bitten series is they make two variants of basically the same figure. But the reason why these two are so interesting is it's the first time that you're meant to get both of them because they have different accessories and also unique accessories which complement them when you put them together. We'll get to that later. I only wanted KHLOE. That's fine enough for me just to have one kid. And again, they're virtually identical except for accessories and their head sculpts. On the back, you have this little stuffed rabbit up there, which is in this box, which I'm really thrilled about. KHLOE again, once more, very hard to see. It looks like this presentation was engulfed in a fire or something like that. And it's a big old barcode, which totally breaks the illusion. On the top, exact same graphics, just rearranged a little bit. I don't know what could be on the bottom, like, no, same thing. There's not even warnings. There's also a case file, interestingly. Might be a date or a time. I don't know. We fortunately have a good friend. Where'd she go? Here she is. This is Betsy. You're very familiar with her by this point if you have been on this channel. If you have not been, then I hope you will subscribe. But you know that whole deal, so I won't go into that any further. But anyways, open that top. Port this out. Oh, interesting. So I thought this was all paper. It's like a sturdy plastic material. Quite the presentation. Okay. And I think these are also that made-to-order type of figure. They test out the market, see how many people actually want them, and, oh, I could have just literally slipped out of this side. Whatever, it's fine. And then they make enough units to satisfy how many people order them. That's better. So we have this plastic sleeve off, which is like semi-translucent. It's got like this orange tint, which is very Halloween-y. I like that. Take that off, then it's a lot more clear. So what this is meant to look like is a really fat diary for both KHLOE and Caddy. You know this because you look at the top, looks like a whole bunch of pages. Of course, it's all one solid piece, printed to look like many pages. You have the Bitten, really cool logo. So to be clear, I was collecting the Sideshow, the Dead line, and this is Asmus Toys, the Bitten line. So these guys are bitten. They're not fully dead yet. I joke, but maybe that's the lore that we're going with. Off to the back, looks like you got a QR code and stuff. So there's Caddy, Chloe as well. As you can expect, we're on our main atrium today, not in the review closet. So there's going to be a lot to spread out here. But yeah, that is the outer box, and really nice presentation on the front. I forgot to mention that. Pour it out from the sides and shake it right off, unless there's more tape. Nope, that's all. And the interesting thing about this packaging is it's less this size because of the figure herself, who we know is really tiny. It's more because of the bonus props that she comes with to make her a little more interesting. So the first thing we have is Chloe's diary. There's a whole foam insert specifically meant for this, and this is just one of those things that not every line's going to do, but because this is a character who's like a standalone, they kind of have full clearance to just give her a little bit of backstory. They don't have to do that by any means, but I love that idea. That's thrilling to me. And there's a little sticker down here. What does this say? Best sister in the world. I don't know why that heart is shaped like that. But anyways, and then we'll talk about those product shots as well. But everything here is paper goods and contained in this plastic slip. So all we got to do is peel this open. Before you get to the diary, let's look at the smaller elements here. First off, we have this little newspaper. Probably tell you a few things about the plague. When you open it up, you do actually see some images of the past figures in this line. As you can see, they were all kind of just dudes with guts hanging out and stuff like that. This guy's a little harder to see. He's a more later sports dude. Again, there were two of him. They were always made in pairs. But this side is all covered up in blood, so it's a little hard to see. Off to the side, same deal. More shots of the previous figures, which can be found, although I don't think they're in production anymore. But every once in a while, they do show up on BBTS, as I've seen. Over here, this is the instruction manual, and this is a universal one for both twins. As you can see, exact same base body, but different head sculpts, and each of them have different accessories. So over here, this is what we're looking at today. This is Chloe. Then we have Caddy, and that's what she's got. She even has a goddamn chainsaw, but likes Chloe's head sculpt a lot more. Down here, how to give Caddy her chainsaw. It also comes with these two interlocked hands that are a single piece. So if you get them both, you could do a sort of a shining thing, so you can be like the twins in the hole. They also each come with half of Uncle Tommy's head. So I believe Chloe comes with the lower half with the beard, and then Caddy comes with this upper dome up here. I also have these details about the rooted hair. That is actually one of the biggest flaws with the actual figure that we have in here, in contrast to the product shots. We'll talk about that when we get there. Up to this side, these are just the primary graphics. Here's Chloe. Again, the prototype was a lot better than we're actually getting, but I'll do some customizing. And then we got her sister there, and it's total glamour shot, which I love. Back to the diary. Again, a really nice bonus pamphlet. Pretty cool if you want to sneak this into like your office space and just pick it up and read it when you want. But this is actually two stories in one. We have Chloe's diary, but if you flip it around, it becomes Caddy's diary. So you got the story of each twin in here. And for those of you who are not too interested in getting the figure yourself, but you'd like to do some light reading, I will actually present each page to you. So it's a nice laminated cover and backing. When you open it up, it's very fragile paper, loose leaf, so you want to be careful. So it looks like this kid is just doing some little illustrations and stuff, also telling a few stories. You can pause and read whatever you want. Her calligraphy is actually quite good for this little one, and it looks like they're both alone in the house. I'm not actually reading, and I'm just kind of flipping through. Come on, focus. There you go. Here's that page. Here's this page over here. It looks like things are getting a little less creative and sparkly. Things are starting to go wrong. Oh, well, shit hit the fan. Something very bad concerning mom and dad. That would be a fun kid's book right there. That's a good title. Then her sister grabbed a big old chainsaw, maybe in self-defense. I'll read this on my own time. I guess that's Chloe holding a rabbit, not having a great time. And I guess it started to snow. Maybe they had to suffer through some cold. And if you know Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, it's pretty much what's going on over here. And then if you flip to the next page, everything goes upside down, because then we have to look at Caddy's story. We don't have a Caddy, but we will read this as well. Her handwriting is actually a lot better than her sister's, but looks like she's talking about her sister here with the rabbit. Again, starting off sparkling and daisies, everything's fine. That's probably Uncle Tommy. Something bad happened over here. Flip to the next page. She got superpowers or something. I guess Uncle Tommy didn't end up too well. And the twins still love each other, even though one of them is a feral monster. So that's interesting as well. A big old chainsaw coming back into action. And then it looks like things are getting cold again. Yeah, she says I felt so cold. So I guess after everything went down, the cold is what finished them off. She gets a little bit loopy over here. And then we flip over to this next page where I can only expect everything goes to shit. Now to the main figure at hand, I removed the foam insert over here, and here she is just encased in this 6 feet under tomb of foam and stuff. So here is a figure I've been waiting about a year for. Oh man, I'm wicked excited, but you knew that already. She is totally entombed in plastic wrap. Maybe that's how she died. Oh, that's even darker somehow. Let's put her aside. Let's get all the parts out first and get them unwrapped. And then, is that all? I feel like there should be more. Oh, of course there's more. I feel like they could have really compartmentalized things a little more. Here is what we have to finish things off. I remember there was one more thing, which other people have had in their reviews, which I don't have for some reason. And now that I think about it, I think I understand why. When they reviewed their figures like some months ago, I guess they got them early, they had the actual product shots from the solicitations, which I would have liked to have, but unfortunately they're not here. And I think the reason why is maybe it was like an early access thing, like an early bird special. Like, hey, you order the figure early, you get some bonus shots of the figure. Not a problem. Hey, I got a printer, like literally right there on my table. Let me unbag everything. Might take a few minutes, and we will get back to it. All right, the moment we've been waiting for, the kid. Elephant in the room is the hair. This is the first figure I've ever had with real, like, punched-in hair. I've never had that before, so this is a very different tactile experience for me. And the issue with this is, of course, it looks absolutely nothing like the prototype, which I could bring right over here. Here, it's a little bit more volumetric, and it's a tad scrabbly. There's all those hairs kind of straying away, things like that. But over here, the hair's lower. The bangs are wicked even, and there's just not a whole lot of dirt or grime here. Ooh, the light's finally starting to catch. Sorry if it was a little dark before. But yeah, it's way too clean, but that's okay. I think you can go through the effort of just messing it up. I mean, you can see if I lift up the bangs right here, they can be peeled all the way up, so they're not like glued down or anything. And I don't know, just give her a good pat on the head, like, good job, old sporto, and hey, even that helped a little. So yeah, just fudge around with it, maybe give it some hot water, let the hair loosen up, scrabble it around and let it set. It might be okay. But do be careful with the ponytails, though. You won't want to be careful with those. Not ponytails, or pigtails. I don't know, my hair's short. But other than that, it's really just here. But then the pigtails, shit, are really well done. They're actually braided. They're not plastic parts or anything. Although the bows are plastic, which is good, because if they actually tied bows that small, then I'm sure they would come undone very easily. So that's okay. What the hell? There we go. Sorry about the focus. To help with the focus, I dropped the box in the back, so maybe that'll save us a little bit. I go in my review room right now that everything's unboxed, but there's some repair work going on, and I had to move a lot of things in there, so it's a little occupado at the moment. So sorry we're not having the best lighting here, but we will proceed. I mean, she's supposed to be cast in darkness anyways. That keeps her creepy. So that being said, let's push into the face, which is gnarly. So again, there were two things I was concerned about. It was the hair and the blood at the jaw. I don't know what happened here. There was probably something in the diary, but that was the thing that gave me that reaction, like, oh man, what happened to that kid a year ago? So that was really important to me, that would be done well. In the reviews that I saw, I thought that the blood was a little bit too light, and in certain lightings it can be, but especially on camera, for whatever reason, it looks a lot darker. And on the way you're seeing it on camera, that's the way I want it to be. Even in my hands, it's lighter to the naked eye. So I'm still going to darken it up on my own. I definitely see a good excuse for some custom work to go on in here. But as for the rest of the details here, the teeth are pretty well painted. They look a little bit rotted, yellowed, a touch black in some spots. There's a nice wash to bring everything out. A few scratches on what's left of her face, one casting up to her nose. The eyes are also really cool. I think they are gray, maybe a touch of green. They were probably green originally, but as she began to turn, she started to go a little gray there. Actually, she really reminds me of, wasn't her name Katie in Dead Rising 2, the kid? Yeah, there could be a bad ending where she succumbs to the virus, but she doesn't actually become a zombie. If she did, she'd probably look exactly like this. Almost the same hair and like everything. So that's pretty funny. But yeah, moving on down, we'll pop out a little bit for this. All soft goods garments and really bad focus. I blame Chucky over there. This is awesome. Again, I wish the blood were just a touch darker. That is something I could do on my own. But we can move out her arms. I haven't done much with articulation yet, but from what I've seen, it's very good. There we are. So there are two pieces of clothing going on here. We have a little underdress, some sort of sweater or parka on the outside. The dress itself has a nice floral pattern. Very cute, very pretty. Makes me think that these zombies, or at least Chloe and Caddy, were set more in the 50s. This isn't really modern kid garb. Maybe the diary would tell us something about that you've read, but I haven't yet. Should have read it before I kept going. Then we have the outer sweater of sorts. This is done in a very nice, fluffy, I don't want to say quilted, but it feels like a quilted material. So it's nice it has like a tactile difference between the inner shirt and the outer shirt. I like it quite a bit. And this one's done more in a rosy pink. And of course, that's accented with some more gore down the sleeves, down the bottom rim, and everywhere. It's just a nice mess, perfectly organized chaos throughout this figure. Just wish that the colors that do show up were a little bit more saturated. On the back, not a lot going on. I would like to imagine she's a clumsy zombie. Maybe she slipped, fell, and then she'd have a whole lot of blood there, so I might do something with that. Just, a little extra storytelling. As for her default hands, of course, she comes with a lot of spares. Ooh, even that's menacing. That's really good. Let's have a look at each of those. They each have their own, rigor mortis fingers on there that are a little weirdly posed, which I really like. This one has some blood and also some wounds. I don't think that's quite a bite, but there's some tears in the flesh, which looks really organic. Again, if they went a little darker right in the pores there, I think that would be better. Off on her righty, this hand seems... I was going to say, it looks fine. It's intact. Nah, it's got some wounds there, too. It reminds me of nightmares I've had of my flesh peeling apart when I was a kid. Anyways, let's not talk about that. But there's another wound on the side of the hand, too. That seems a little darker than the other wounds that we've seen. What the hell is with the camera? Alright, fuck it. Now I have the box and the outer sleeve as the backdrop, so that should avert any focus issues going forward. So that's it for the hands. Moving on down to... She doesn't really have pants, more stockings, and we can actually see how far up they go. They go all the way up to her pelvis, which is really nice, so it's a full garment, and that looks fantastic. Not as bloody as everything else. I'd actually like to bloody up her knees a little bit. It doesn't look like they did much there. There's actually not a whole lot of any paint on here. That's actually interesting. There's more on the back of the knees than there are on the front. Maybe they put that on backwards, but that's okay. Whatever. Again, I'm going to be doing custom work anyways, so not a huge deal if something's missing. Down here, though, on the bottoms of the stockings, we do have some dirt, which makes sense because it transitions right down to her really cute little shoes, which I like a lot. They have a noticeable buckle or strap of some sort along the top, and then some exposed stocking here in the shoe itself. But you'll notice that's not a soft garment. That is actually painted in. But it's a nice seamless transition. Really helps to sell that illusion well. And you got some very well applied pink with just a touch of blood splatter. And even if we get really close and personal with the shoes here, you can see all that ornate implied stitch work, which is painted in with no slop. That looks really awesome. Contrastingly to the dead figures from Sideshow, which are of course older, so it makes sense, she actually has a good amount of weight. She actually feels heavier than the adult size figures we've talked about. I guess it's due in part to higher quality plastic. It's denser. And also she has the soft goods, which maybe it would increase the weight a little more. But yeah, she's actually got some clunk, where the other ones, they feel very soft in the hands. But for her, I don't know, she just feels heavier. I don't know why that would be. I find that really interesting. But yeah, that's it for the aesthetics of the figure. So let's do accessories next. So let's begin with her alternates here. We have, as we saw before, a gripping for the left and the right. They are identically posed, but of course uniquely sculpted, so they actually have... Oh, wait a minute. They actually have the exact same wounds on either side. Huh. Interesting. So that means, wouldn't they be inconsistent with the hands that she already has? Because, again, this hand is wounded very big on the top there, but I remember on her righty, it's wounded at the bottom. Interesting. So they're not going to quite maintain that continuity. Not a big deal. I mean, it's so minute, but interesting how they recycled that sculpt that way. I guess they reversed it digitally. I don't know. But anyhow, let's see what it's like to replace a hand, especially with the sleeve in the way. I'm not sure how easy or difficult that would be. Pretty simple. It's a very, very small mushroom peg in there on a ball joint, kind of like McFarlane. And, oop, wrong one, sorry. And then we should be able to, hopefully with a little issue, she can go ahead and kick the camera. Seems like something she'd do. You don't hear a pop. The hands are a little rubbery, but it slides right on, and then you can do whatever you want. And let's test some malleability. Yeah, it's good. You can fit whatever you want in there. And the last thing to talk about here, hand-wise, is, of course, he has those two interlocked hands for her and her sister, if you choose to get them both. Obviously, you don't really have a use for this unless... I don't know, one hand succumb to rigor mortis and she's still holding on to it, so you could just add some bone popping out of the top of it. I'm sick enough to actually consider that in the customizing process. I wonder, what's the best way to show you guys all the rest of the accessories that this figure comes with? Here's an idea. Let's build a table. So, here's the top of it. Again, very ornately sculpted here. Flawless. It looks just like a table I've seen at my grandma's house, and at my aunt's house, just any older woman of prestige. Let's say prestige, right? Everyone's seen a table like this. It's got some wear, it's got the wood grain painted on. It looks fantastic. On the top, perfectly smooth. It's also got some nice chopped up edges along the side, so it's not a perfect rectangle. I do like that detail. In the center, there is this little, like, a molding dot that's kind of indented. Not a huge deal. You can really just put anything you want at the center of the table and it will disappear. It's not going to matter. And when you're looking at this table, it's probably going to be, like, just barely on the surface or straight on like that horizontally, so not a big problem. And of course, look at this table high risen. We have 4, as far as I'm concerned, identical legs, which are, yeah, all the same mold with that little floral design. I don't see why they'd be any different. And it seems like the pegs at the top are all squares. Not quite keyed, but they're squares. So they're not going to swivel around or anything. So let's try putting these in and see what it's like. Flip this to the bottom. You even got some coloring and detail work down here as well, which is really interesting. Made in China. But anyway, let's pop these in. Actually, these go a little deeper. It's not just that pin. It goes down to this tan stump, whatever you want to call that. So that should slip right in. It's not totally seamless, but I don't want to push it any further than that, which is all right. You got this other leg here. Put that in as well. It feels like if you wanted to take it apart and store it, it wouldn't be too hard. Like if we wanted to remove it. You know what? I actually retract that. It feels very stiff and very fragile, so I'm not going to do that. But I assume maybe if you just use some hot water, you can slip these back out. But otherwise, they do actually seem quite tight. There goes that one. Put it down. Feels great. Actually, let's pop out a little bit here. Again, sorry about the space we're working with. And it doesn't seem like it's rocking on either side. It's very symmetrical. That's very nice. You don't have to modify the legs in any way. So that being said, let's push back in and let's decorate our little table here. Firstly, we have this little metal hammer, which looks quite painful. Again, this feels very Night of the Living Dead. I know in that movie, the kid used a gardening tool, but this really feels like an homage to that, which is excellent. Kind of like when we reviewed the Punk Zombie, there were blatant homages to Return of the Living Dead, so it'll be kind of cool to get these two together. A little bit of Romero, and a little bit of the guy that he went separate ways with from the movie. But yeah, we still have our gripping hand in there, so we can pop the hammer inside very easily. I can go ahead and whack some people out. Maybe it also appeared in the diary as well. And it's also worth mentioning, I think this might be the only non-hand accessory that also came with Caddy. So do keep that in mind. If you get both of them, you will be getting 2 of these, which I don't think anyone would ever complain about. Yeah, we'll put that right there. That's really nice. Next up, speaking of Caddy, we have a picture of the 2 sisters together, which is really cool. A little dusty right there or something. I don't know. Was that dust? Or, I mean, it would add to the look. There's a little bit of scuffing on the front, but yeah, it looks like it's been through hell. Although, admittedly, as nice as the frame looks and feels, actually feels like real wood. It might be wood. I'm not sure. The picture on the inside looks a lot more dirty than the rest of the frame, so it feels like that's a little inconsistent, but that's fine. It's really nice. The picture actually has like a piece of acrylic plastic or something on the front of it, so that's really cool. And we'll put that right there. Yeah, it looks very good. Then we got our candelabra, which feels very Bela Lugosi Dracula when we reviewed that NECA figure. How long ago was that? I don't remember, but it definitely gives me those feels, even though this one is definitely smaller. Well, you know, scale aside. Of course, it doesn't actually glow, but the way they did it is really nice. It's a little darker orange at the bottom of the flame, and it gets lighter to an almost white at the tip, at the top, and that looks really awesome. The shaft wax of each candle is done as stark white as it should be. It would have been cool if they like sculpted some melting down effect. That would have been nice, but then again, from a distance, that would fade away anyhow. As for the candelabra itself down here that holds the candles, that is gorgeous. I really love the silver. It's not molded. It's not like just wicked over with a paintbrush. It actually looks like, I don't know what the process is, but it's molded in that very silver without any marbling or any of that crap, so it looks really good, and it should be able to stand No problem. And it looks great. We can even pan up a little bit if we want, which we should. And it's great. A little too tall for the camera we have here, but if we pan out anymore, we'll lose the focus, and we don't want that to happen. Next up, her big old bunny, which I find very personal to me because I grew up with a bunny myself, but this one was a lot bigger. This is a really cool accessory because it's actually mixed media. It is largely a giant plastic piece. I actually think several pieces. Yeah, this ear articulates, so if you want her holding it from here or dragging it up this way for some reason, then you can have a little creative license there. I think that's only movement. Oh, this ear too. Okay, so you can have some gravity. That's really nice. But also you have little tufts of cotton poking up every once in a while on the top of the head. They're in the lower tummy, so it looks like it's gotten some wear. It's been a little bit ripped up, which is very cool. My mom, who continues to be very good with needle and thread, I remember her constantly repairing the bunny that I had growing up, which I actually still own. I put it around my apartment as a little memento. But this bunny is missing an eye. He's a little worse for wear. But again, really nice weathering details, some browns, maybe some grays in there as well. Nice pink on the inner ears, although that could use a little bit of dirt, so I might do something about that. And it's got some good weight to it as well, very similar to its owner. We'll put him right there. I think that's good. We also talked briefly about the diary. This is a scaled down version, which is a little bit more detailed in terms of looking like a full-on book. And it's not Chloe's diary and Caddy's diary on the other side. It's a committed Chloe diary. This is the canonical look for it, I guess. This is just Chloe and Caddy. Got some blood. Next we got more blood. And then what looks like Caddy with her chainsaw. Next page, a little more blood. One of the sisters on there, and the rabbit. So this is probably Chloe. So yeah, less pages in here than there are in the real one, which makes sense. If there are too many pages in here, it would be very hard to close. So I'm probably going to leave that closed for the most part, and that looks really good right there. Last but not least, we have half of Uncle Tommy's head, and he is, of course, part of the diaries. So, of course, as we talked about, Chloe comes with the lower half, and Caddy, who I think did the deed with the chainsaw, she has the upper half. Looks really good. The gore is awesome. You can make out the brain in there, and then a whole lot of this ugly stuff. As someone who has dissected animals in high school, I can say once you cut up the head of anything, it looks really indiscernible and confusing because there's so much going on. It's really gross, but it is accurate. The skin looks a little too shiny. I feel like it should be more pale. It looks like he's been under dense humidity or something like that, so that's a little off. But otherwise, he looks like a cadaver. There's no life left in this thing. The beard is here. It could have used a nice wash. It's kind of just done in a flat brown, which is alright. The eye looks very malnourished, and you also got the stump at the neck, and a little extra blood at the bottom of the beard. And you can put him right in the center of the table to cover up that mold imperfection at the center, as we talked about before. And then, just to remind you about the hands, we got her twin holding hand. We have another crepe and a round hand. That's one of her defaults. It's been replaced with a grip. And here's her left grip. So those are her accessories. And, oh yeah, we also have the little newspaper as well. So here we go, and I don't know, maybe the bunny can read some news to us. So here are all the accessories. All that being said, let's talk about articulation. There is some wonderful movement in the head. There's actually a separation between where the head meets the neck and where the neck meets the chest. So you have two dumbbell joints going on, I believe, but it gives her great movement. Look at that tilt. That's menacing. I love it. I love it when a zombie is tilt in either direction. She probably has more tilt than all the other dead figures that we looked at before from Sideshow, so that's great. Very, very good down. A crazy amount up, too, so she could be looking up at one of her adult zombie friends or family members, however you want to put it. Obviously, she's going to have a ton of swivel here and here, so that's great. She's got it all in terms of the head departments. That's wonderful. And the arms, there's no butterfly, I don't think. Actually feels like there's a lot of bulk, like the shoulders kind of popped out of the rest of the body. So if you took all the clothing off, it wouldn't be as seamless, but with the clothing on, it looks good. That comes out to about 90 from the shoulder, and then that would rotate 360, but oh, and it crunches in very straight out, so that's really good, but we're not going to go all the way around because of the soft goods, of course. There is a bicep swivel in there, too. Double jointed elbows? Yes! And we talked about the wrists, whichever way you want. In the torso, I don't know. There is a diaphragm, so it'll give her a little bit, not a ton. I think it's just more to put things together rather than to actually have her moving. I think there might be a waist. There is a good swivel in the waist. Again, it's a little hard to see under all the cloth we got, but I don't want to ruin anything yet. That's what the customizing's for. Legs, Good splits. She could probably go further than that, but once more, you don't want to rip anything. Although that actually might make her look even better. Like even that intentional tear, which is really nice. Forgot to mention that. Knees, I'm not really seeing any pins or anything through the stockings, but let's see how far this goes. I don't know if it's double jointed or not, but at least here, you can actually see the joint right there. I think it's a single joint, but it's below the sculpted knee. You can see the knee popping out right there, the bone. So that's pretty clever on their part. I don't think you need a knee to go further than that. So that was a neat structural decision. I like that. And as for the ankles, see if the pantaloons or whatever the hell gets bunched up, you can just stretch it back upward to the leg, and then it'll look a little better. The feet do have some back. Well, you want to be a little careful. You don't want anything to pop out. And once more, they're on a dumbbell joint. They can do their forward. It's quite a lot, just depending on how far you want to stress it. Swivel, 360, which is awesome. And then naturally, we have rocker. So almost every single joint you can want in an action figure is in this zombie child. So very, very good. And now finally, the moment we've all been waiting for is size comparisons. We're just going to limit it to my zombie shelf, which has been waiting for her. Maybe shouldn't have put her in front of the pastor. But here are all her zombie friends and family. So let's go from left to right over here. This is my very first zombie figure and the only one I had for the longest time. This is the Dead Rising 2 exclusive fat zombie. Over there, I got my Savers Made Zombie Survivor. He's very dark and very hard to see, but that's why I put him in the back. He's not as important. We have the recently reviewed Punk Zombie, which you could see I custom made a skateboard for him with a whole bunch of stickers. That was a lot of fun. Got the Harbinger Zombie. This is from the Deadline. We'll stay with Punk, by the way, as is almost everybody here, except this one. This is my Banshee Nun Zombie. This is completely custom. Security Zombie and Butcher Zombie with the custom head sculpt. Don't know where that came from. And then a chainsaw from NECA's Stripe. So this is it. I don't think I need any more, but then again, if anybody makes more, then that notion might change, but I don't know where else I can really go from here. This shelf is pretty much done. As you can see, from up here, and down here, I don't have a lot of space left, so this is where we leave off. I'm thrilled. She looks amazing. Perfect height for a child against a 1/6 scale figure collection. Fortunately for Quash and Mechamuck, my review room is way too messy right now, so I can't actually get to them. So I get to skate past this review.
Oh, well, thank fucking God for that, you merciful bastard!
And that being said, we can go right into final thoughts. I love her. She's awesome. She's so cool. I know she's not perfect. She's not exactly like the initial product shots, the prototype. Really, the only downgrade is the hair, which I think I can fix up with a little bit of time. Shouldn't take terribly long. Maybe just trim up the bangs a little bit so it's a bit more disheveled. Shuffle everything around and give it some paint wear or something just to make it look like more of a dirty blonde and a stark like Children Village of the Damned blonde. I don't know. I'll figure that one out. But otherwise, everything here is either exactly as we expected or we have an improvement, being the table instead of just the nightstand. Could have gone either way. I mean, a nightstand would have been easier to put around the display. As you saw from my zombie shelf, I got no room for this, so I got to think that one through. But then again, maybe there's another character here who would be better suited for. I could see, like, if someone has a Marvel character like Deadpool or like a DC character, they can have the table in front of them, like in an apartment, and they're laying all their weapons down on it. So these aren't just what accessories that work for KHLOE or Caddy alone. They can work with just about anyone, given the right situation. Anyone can have a toy rabbit, that could be funny. The little hammer there, that's multi-situational. The candelabra, hey, you've got Universal Monsters out of 1/6 scale, which I don't, you can give it to them. And again, I do have a Nosferatu, so maybe that would be neat for him, even though he has no gripping hands. But yeah, this is a great pack, not just to accentuate figures you already have, but I mean, the main centerpiece here is KHLOE herself, and this is a really awesome set. She might be my favorite zombie of all the ones we looked at. Like, definitely the Punk Zombie is my favorite of the Deadline. KHLOE's gotta be my favorite. I mean, it's not just the weight, it's not just the hype. I sincerely love everything about this figure, except the hair, but I almost give that a pass, because it's almost a situation where you know, like, what is, like, the perfect standardized mess that you're going to give to every collector, right? So it's better to play it safe and give us each a clean, exactly the same hairdo, so then we can mess it up to our liking, right? I don't think it's possible to get it exactly like the prototype shot. Like, I've seen characters which naturally are supposed to have clean, lush hair and, like, hot toys and stuff like that, and then you could standardize that pretty easily. But for a character like her, who's supposed to be very messy, that's not a thing we typically see in the action figure world, right? Like, we see battle damage figures, but, like, how often do you see a character who's just totally dead, right? So yeah, all that being said, if I were to ask for one thing, I guess it would be a distinct bite somewhere on her person, because this is the Bitten line. I would have liked if one of her hands had a bite on it. That's actually what I was expecting. The rest of the accessories don't need any more extra tailoring. Don't need to do anything with the flesh. It's just the hair and blood. And then we're good to go. This thing is great. And if you get both, hey, then you get even more accessories that come with Caddy, and you can have even more photo opportunities, more shelf opportunities. This is awesome. Will I collect from Asmus toys again? I don't know. This is a one-off, but I'd never be opposed to it. I'd be more than happy to look through the rest of their catalog and see what they do next. It is a really cool line, and it's nice to at least get a taste out of it. I mean, it looks like she's got a meal ready to go, so she can enjoy a meal as I enjoy a feast for the eyes. This beautiful set. This looks amazing. Let me know what you think about this little oddball of a release in the comments. Do you think it's awesome? Do you think there's other improvements that could be made that I didn't even consider? Again, it's a strange one, but I love it. It's so cool. Great conversation starter. The last piece de resistance that I need for my zombie shelf. Can't wait to see what else this little kid can do. So anyways, all that being said, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed them, please, as per usual, be sure to
Like!
Comment. Ring the bell to be notified of our latest arrivals. And subscribe.
I guess if I could ask for one more accessory, it would be a giant chicken for her to ride around. Rock on. I will see you all later.
Hey, you! Yeah, you! Check out this other video you might like in our sister gaming channel. It would be real sweet if you did. Still waiting!